Welcome back to Laughing in the Dark, the podcast where I hang out in haunted places with comedians. I'm your host, Sarah Jones. This is another fixture in our Sunday Minisode series where I talk to you about your ghost stories. For this Minisode, I got to speak to Danielle and Z. They're the hosts of another paranormal podcast called Ghosts and Hoes. These super fun ladies told me some super creepy stories. I love them. I hope you do too. Here's the call. Welcome to Laughing in the Dark.
Thank you for having us.
Of course. Thanks for being here. This is exciting. Do you guys have a ghost story for me?
Well, we have many ghost stories. We are paranormal investigators, so we've got a fuckload of ghost stories. But we picked one.
Oh, you picked one specific one. Okay, because we can share a couple if we need to. But before we get into it, you guys have your own podcast, isn't that right?
Yes,
we do.
Yes, that is right.
Okay, so what is the name of your podcast?
It is called Ghosts and Hoes.
Ghosts and Hoes. How is that spelled?
Brought to you by Prestige International Worldwide.
It's HEAUXS. Because we're fancy.
Hose. So it's like hose. It's not just ghosts and hoes. It's ghosts and
HEAUX.
hose. That's cool.
Yeah, with that Louisiana flair.
I love it. Little stank on it. So what is the focus of your show?
Stank. We are paranormal, true crime, occult, cryptids, unsolved mysteries.
Is it spooky?
Right?
We're going to talk about it. Is it weird? We'll talk about it.
Yep.
Sure.
Does it not make sense? We'll probably get there.
Yeah.
The entire spectrum of what is considered paranormal from one end
I love it.
to the other.
I personally, physically and emotionally love it.
Into it.
Very much.
Into it.
I love it. That sounds like a very cool show. I'm your biggest fan.
Oh, thank you.
Well, great. Again, welcome to Laughing in the Dark. This is a part of our Minisode series, so this is where you tell us a ghost story, and it sounds like you guys have one that you've chosen that you want to tell. Is this like, why did you guys choose this story? Like, before you tell it, like, why did you be like, this is the one?
Well, we kind of just decided because we have so many. We're like, oh, fuck balls. Which one do we do?
Right.
Because you guys are
this one is it's a good one in that it was one of our first investigations together.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it was also one of the ones that I think is probably the most profound. I don't know if that's the right word.
Oh, that makes sense.
But it was probably for me, well, for both of us, I guess, but for me, investigation-wise, it was the first investigation that I had been on that we had caught evidence that was so clear and evident, so to speak, for what it was, that it was kind of scary.
Yeah, it's definitely like when you're on an investigation, it's more... especially in the beginning.
Right.
You're kind of like, ooh, I've got all this stuff. I don't really know what I'm doing with it, but I've got it. And so when it actually works how it's supposed to, and you're not expecting it at all, you're like, well, I think I just shit myself. So
this was the first time that it was the first investigation where we had actually gotten something speaking to us. Yeah. And it was unmistakable.
Yeah.
Okay. I love it.
And it'll scare the shit out of you. Not that the whole scenario itself was scary, but the fact that something is speaking to you and you can hear it with your ears.
And it's directly responding to something that you had asked it.
Yeah.
Amazing.
And so that's like when you watch the ghost hunting shows, people are always like, oh, that's so fake. I wouldn't scream like that. Yeah, you would.
You would.
Trust.
You can.
Because you're in the dark. You can't see. You can't, you're like, is that you that I'm touching? Please let that be your face, Danielle, that I feel right now.
Oh.
And so you're just like, because you don't know what to expect.
Right.
Which is the point.
And we brought the recording with us, so I'm hoping that it'll translate through the mics.
Amazing.
But we do have the EVP from that investigation.
If you have the recording, it's not a matter of even playing it so that the mics pick up on it. You can just give that to Randy, and he will edit that into the episode. So if you have it saved as an MP3 or a WAV, he will put it into the episode. So we don't even have to compromise the quality.
Yeah.
So don't worry about that.
Cool. Yeah. Well, yeah. So then there you go. Perfect.
Awesome. Yep. So
we chose this one because it was probably the most, not only one of the first investigations we have done together as a group, but it was probably the most profound because the audio evidence that we got was just undeniable.
Oh, how cool.
Okay. Even people that we've played it for were like, oh,
it would be what you would consider a Class A EVP.
That's amazing. I love it. So set the scene for me. Let's get started.
Yeah.
Let me viscerally explain to me everything you felt and saw and experienced during this time.
So it was an investigation. We had been helping as our paranormal group, Hella Paranormal Investigations. Of course, we were with a different group at the time, but that is a different story. We were helping out over Halloween at the Shanghai Tunnels.
Nice.
Down here in Portland, Oregon. And a gal had come through, and she was at the time the manager of Bonneville Hot Springs and Carson Hot Springs hotels. And she said that they have had a lot of activity at the Carson Hotel, and she wanted us to come investigate. So we went, and
it was, and the thing is, it didn't even, we were all excited because, it was only, I think, our second time ever investigating together as a team.
Group, yeah.
And so it was really exciting, and it was going to be overnight. We were the only ones at the hotel, so there was not going to be anybody else staying the night.
Right.
Just the four of us. So we were super stoked. It was going to be really fun. We drove up to Carson, and we weren't even in the hotel yet when shit started to get weird.
Yeah.
We went to, there's a little cemetery not far from the hotel. So we stopped because we always do.
We do.
You always stop at cemeteries?
When we were driving.
Huh?
I said you always stop at cemeteries?
Oh, we always stop at cemeteries?
I mean, you said we stop because we always do.
The property... the property itself. So the St. Martin Hotel was built in the late 1800s by Margaret and Isidore St. Martin, who had come down from Canada, actually. And Isidore had found, during a hunting trip, he had found in the ground this hot spring and decided that he was going to build a hotel and, a hotel, yes, on the property so that people could come and take the waters is what they used to call it.
Right.
For healing properties.
Right. Yeah.
So.
And didn't he bring his wife down because she was
sickly?
Was
ill. She had a fibromyalgia kind of issue. And they built this hotel. And in 1910, Isidore had gotten into an argument with a patron over the healing properties of the water. And it got heated, and he stabbed him. Well, the person stabbed Isidore. Isidore stumbles into the hotel and collapses in the dining room and dies.
Whoa.
And so he died on the property. His wife, Margaret, died a few years later. The children carried on, and there had been a number of issues generationally with the children. But the family cemetery is right there at right before the property.
Mm-hmm.
So we stopped there, and the whole St. Martin family is buried there.
Yeah. And so we're driving up the little hill driveway to get to the hotel, and one of our team members, Tanya, she's got her what did she have? It was not an iPad
camera or her.
No, it was her her.
Yeah, she was
Kindle,
videoing. Yeah,
some horseshoe tablet thing, I guess.
The second we got there, shit started to get weird.
Yeah, so she's filming as we're pulling up, and when we get back, she goes back to look at it again, and it's completely it films part of it, and then it skips backwards, like somebody pressed rewind and started over again, which is not a thing that happens on modern technology.
Right.
And then we were recording an interview with the gal that was the manager that had let us come up to the hotel, recording, getting some history. And when we went back to watch it later, it was like, and we all saw her filming. So you know how you film someone, you put the camera at them.
Sure.
It was only recording jeans.
Yeah.
It was just
the waist down.
Just all you could see. It looked like she had taken her camera and pointed it at her lap and was walking and recording.
And then
which
some
is
of the
not what
footage
happened.
was when we played it back was completely upside down.
Yeah.
And it was just one of those things where
like,
our
okay.
technology was being messed with all day. So we go through the hotel and we're setting up our infrared cameras. It's 3 floors. So we're getting cameras set up on all floors. And just from the time we got there, technology was an issue, which is really common.
Yeah,
right.
Very,
with,
very
paranormal
definitely.
activity.
Mm-hmm.
So we decide, we get all set up. We go back to the room that we're staying in.
Before that, remember we were walking around getting like a tour of the main floor so we'd know where everything was. And in the dining hall area, the person was just taking us around, and Danielle was in front of me, and I was kind of like bringing up the rear, just looking at stuff. And like, it looks like she got flat tired. And so, like, her leg goes out a little bit.
Walking behind you and they kick your foot and it goes back behind your other leg.
And so she looked at me like, bitch, too close. And I'm like, I am not that close to you. I am like, there was nobody between us. And so I was like, I saw it happen. And I know it wasn't me. So just like that. And that area was just kind of like that weird feeling where you're like, ooh, it feels like there are too many people in here. But really, it was just like 5 or 6 of us.
Right.
Yeah, so super creepy. And then we went to the room to change and charge everything.
So just to
ready.
cover,
Dinner.
this was at a hot springs type hotel. What was it called again?
Yes.
Correct. It's Carson Hot Springs. But the hotel was originally called this. Yeah. Which is up past Bonneville.
Okay.
Up in the gorge.
Okay.
And it was originally called the St. Martin Hotel.
Okay.
But when you're dealing with hot springs, you're dealing with a natural energy conduit.
Mm-hmm.
So hot springs are always a hotbed for paranormal activity.
Okay.
As well as certain hotels, like, for instance, the Stanley Hotel.
Sure.
In Estes Park, Colorado, is built on a slab of limestone.
I've been there.
You
it's
have a
gorgeous.
natural paranormal conduit.
Yeah.
Yes. We went there. Oh, it was lovely.
Yeah, we've been there a few years back.
But it's like essentially a battery.
Right. So when you have a hot spring that is just this natural force of energy like that, it is always just a conduit for energy in general, but paranormal energy can feed off of that.
Okay.
And so in areas like that, the manifestations can be bigger, better, bolder, I guess, for a lack of a better term. So, because they all feed off energy, right? So when we went in that night, we started on the 3rd floor. And
keep in mind, everything had brand new batteries. If it needed to be charged, it was fully charged 100%.
Sure. You went in prepared.
Right.
Exactly.
Right.
And,
always.
And after paranormal investigating for years now, that's just, you're like, okay, well, I know I'm going to have to bring like 75 extra batteries. So let me get my fanny pack full of batteries and let's go.
I had that happen earlier this season in Chicago where one comics, I always charge all my stuff before I go out as well. And his entire microphone, like the lav mic that he was using, completely drained of battery. And mine was fine. So you knew it was just like this one was affected. Very weird.
Mm-hmm. Totally random.
And that's another weird thing that can happen.
And it's actually one of the first things that happens.
Yeah.
when you're in that kind of situation. One of the first things to go is all of your technology.
Yeah, which makes my show like very difficult.
Right. Right.
Uh-oh.
Right.
Sneeze. Nope.
So we started on the third floor, which
was
the
not
top
open
floor.
And not open to the public.
None of it was, none of it was
condemned.
actually open to the public. So the entire building is practically condemned. People don't stay in there anymore.
No, the rooms are off to the side. We didn't stay in that main building. It was mostly just used as like a meeting place.
It's just where you check in. So start the third floor, which was back in the day when it was originally built. It was the family wing. The family lived on the third floor. Margaret and Isidore and their children, and in under 5 minutes, and we timed it because we had IR cameras throughout the whole building, so when we watched the footage back, we could time exactly how long it took for literally everything we had to fail. First, it was the DSLR. The photographer would start taking pictures, and then her camera would just start flashing.
Yeah, it's like, you know, when you've got the old, like, 2003 digital camera that you just have in your purse.
Sure.
When you
yes.
18, 20,
definitely.
carried around. You're like, yeah, let's make it. It was one of those.
When I was 20 in 2003, is that what you just said?
Well, she had the DSLR, and then that failed, and then she pulled out the point and shoot, and then that failed.
Enough. No, I hear you.
Like, as
I just had a little moment where I was like, I was 13 in 2003. What are you talking about?
Oh, no.
I know. I'm a little baby.
Way old. I had 2 children at that point, but that's okay.
It's okay. But I was just
high
like,
school.
what the fuck did you just say? When I was 20. What do you mean? What do I look like to you? Get the fuck out of here.
No.
Sorry. It's not about me. Go
So
on.
our photographer started...
No, I like
she
it.
She started with the DSLR.
Yeah.
She's taking photos.
I had the point and shoot.
She got about 1 photo off, and then nothing would happen.
Yeah, and it was like...
It would do
boom,
nothing.
Boom, boom. And she would try and focus it. You could hear it trying to focus on something, but there's nothing for it to focus on, and it would just start flashing. And I'm like, please make it stop. I have seizures. And then it just completely died. So that was like, okay, well, problem solved. And then the point and shoot, it would do the same thing.
Right.
And with the DSLR, it had a completely separate light on it.
No, that was the video camera.
Oh, the video camera. Yes. The video camera also died.
Yes.
At the same time as its external light, which has 2 very separate batteries. But they managed to die at the same time. So we're like, okay, well, this is garbage.
Yes. So the video camera and its external light die at the same time. So literally everything we have has died except our EVP recorders. So we go down to the first floor, and then we use what's called a ghost box or a shack hack.
Frank's box.
A spirit box. Yeah, I've heard of those.
And
Yeah.
Like a spirit
we
box.
used to have,
I've heard it called the
coolest
spirit
one
box.
ever.
Yeah.
It was just an old
Shack
radio
hack.
from Radio Shack, like a little handheld AM/FM radio that a former team member's husband had managed to hack, where you can keep it scanning. Like, instead of stopping at any channel, it just scans forever. And that's basically what a Shack hack Frank's box is.
Yes.
Just continual scanning, white noise, and that's all. So it was the OG physical version.
So that's when we asked the question, is anybody here with us? And so when you have a ghost box and you listen to it, it's constantly scanning. You hear static, right? You hear static, and you hear like little blip blops from...
fraction of a second of radio stations nearby.
So when we said, and we have the recording here, we'll have Randall do the thing, but when we said, is anyone here with us? It literally went silent.
Like,
and
no
all
noise.
you heard was click, click, click,
Oh.
click. There was no scanning.
Mm-mm.
And we were like, okay, so are you the one that was making our cameras not work? And you hear a man's voice clearly say, yep.
Whoa.
And then we all kind of freak out.
It's just like,
we all get goosebumps. We're like,
thinking about it now.
Right.
We say, why don't you want us to film you?
Yeah.
And he says, because it's an abomination.
Whoa.
And at that point,
yeah.
Like
at that point, it came out, and we were all like standing in different parts of this, like the main lobby area. So Danielle and I lock eyes from across the room, and like without saying anything, we both just start grabbing all of our shit. And we're like, nope, bye.
Whoa.
And the other two are like, what's that mean? I'm like,
what's that mean?
It means
what's abomination? I was like,
we
gotta go. It's time to go.
So
nah.
Wait a minute.
You know, and it's interesting. So looking back.
Yeah.
Oh, I was just going to say.
What?
Do you think that the spirit was condemning you and calling you an abomination? Like what you're doing there?
No.
The cameras.
I think that he was saying that our filming was an abomination. And what that said to me, us, because she and I were on the exact same page, you've got two things. So you've either got a spirit from a time long past that has no fucking idea what type of technology
That's what
we're
I thought
using,
of.
and of course it's
Right.
of the devil, right?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Or you've got some sort of entity that is using really old school terminology and is maybe not of the best origin.
Yeah.
I'm not demon. I'm not saying that in any way, shape, or form. But like I said, this was one of our first investigations that we had done
Elementals.
together. And that word, it's just such an old word that it could have gone either way. And we didn't want to fuck with something that we weren't quite prepared to fuck with.
Right. Okay. I
So
hear you.
we were like, okay, we're out. Now, retrospect, now, if we were doing this investigation tomorrow and the same thing happened, we wouldn't have left.
No, it'd be
Because
like,
right,
we are,
we've been
we've been doing this long enough
Me
now.
too. For sure. I'd be like, this is going great.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
Like, okay,
But
awesome.
so-
we could
but
be like,
like-
okay, we can handle this now.
But why?
I was wondering,
do you
like,
say that?
Right.
I feel like you can tell so much about by the tone of a voice that you hear. So the voice that you were hearing, like you were talking about those two alternatives, like it could just be like an older spirit that considers anything that's like technologically advanced as an abomination because it's like, this is the work of Satan because I don't understand it.
Right. Yes.
Yeah.
To me, in my imagination, that voice would be like an old man being like, fuck this. But like,
You're right.
Yes.
yeah,
He is-
but like,
He is older, but he was also very angry.
Yeah.
so
and
that
that was
the
like,
tone was like anger.
and it was one of those things. Yes.
So it didn't seem like a
exactly.
demon.
And you
like
could
it wasn't like a
feel-
hissing, like shitty sounding demon being like,
No.
like
No,
it was
no,
just-
no. It's just a regular man's. It's just a regular man's voice, and when we upload this, you will hear it. It's
I
just a
can't
regular man's
wait
voice.
to hear it.
But I could feel.
Yeah.
I could feel
yes,
him.
Like it was just the whole tone of the room shifted.
Right.
Like
Yes.
just all of a sudden it felt pissed off.
Correct.
And so we're like, well, we're going to go back to our room now. You
right,
stay here
right.
and have at it. You do what you want to do. We're going to fucking
Well,
go
goodbye.
away.
And that was in the beginning of what we did. Now that we are more experienced and we have dealt with far worse entities than
Ugh.
that, that's a cakewalk. That's a walk
Yeah.
in the park.
so
I could deal with guys like that all day long.
Yeah.
because you guys are
it's
like,
after that.
I
Oh,
feel the
what?
same
Go ahead.
way, except when I go to haunted places, I'm there with a comedian. So like if something
Right.
happens, I'm like, oh great, like I'm like excited, and the comedian's like, what the fuck is wrong with you? And I'm like, I don't know. I'm sorry.
Right.
Exactly. Like it's like that adrenaline rush where you're like,
Yes.
oh God.
Right.
But
I'm like,
also,
this is great. Aren't you
yay.
excited?
But
and
it's
they're
one of
like,
those things-
no, let's get the hell out of here. And I'm like, I don't want to leave.
Yes.
But
You're like,
Yes.
you just
Calm down,
mentioned
But
Shaggy.
now looking back, we would be like, yeah, let's have a conversation, bro. But this
Right.
was in the beginning, and we, like I said, we have dealt with far worse entities.
well,
at this
that's
junction.
that's
We hadn't
what
had
interests me.
anything
So
directly
what is the?
address us.
I want to know what is the worst entity you've dealt with? The most evil, fucked up, twisted
Gettysburg.
entity you've
Uh-huh.
Beelzebub?
No.
Oh, I misheard you.
No, she said Gettysburg.
Oh, I thought you said Beelzebub. I was like, holy fuck.
It was Satan.
Yes, it was the devil.
No.
Like, what does it say about me that this is my first ghost story call where you can physically see my reaction? And what does it say about me that I just lit up?
I love it.
I was like, Beelzebub. I'm so excited.
Like, yes.
Into it.
Satan.
Oh my God! Did you talk to Beelzebub?
What did he say?
The demon himself.
I get it though. I get it. Samesies.
Yeah.
Samesies.
Yeah.
No. She said Gettysburg. I say Jerome.
Well, that's because you got choked.
I did.
So
Sexy.
I got held down. Well, technically, it was after Gettysburg, and we were in Washington D.C. But it was after Gettysburg that I had the issue. So for her, it's Jerome.
Yeah,
Tell your Jerome.
Oh, so Jerome, Arizona. The best. Love it. You should go there.
It's amazing.
Okay.
Haunted. The whole thing. All of it.
The whole town.
Wonderful.
From one end to the other.
There's one way in and one way out. She
and
hated.
It's amazing.
She hated as balls. It's an old mining town. Love it there. So the first time I went, because she had gone once without me.
How rude.
Very.
I know.
That's really rude.
But when I went the next time, I was like, how dare. We went the next time. It was just super cool. It's just a really fun little town. Super chill. So many vodka Red Bulls were a thing.
And it's a little town. It was actually technically registered a ghost town up until the early 70s.
Yeah. It became a hippie commune.
From actually the early to mid 50s to the late 70s, it was a ghost town to where 6 people actually lived in the town. And in the 70s, a lot of the artists from Sedona started moving up into the hills, and that's how Jerome came to be. But even now, I think the population is just a couple hundred.
Yeah, it's not.
If that. It's up in the foothills, up above Sedona, Arizona.
And
it's
those
gorgeous.
types of places themselves are creepy on their own, because you walk into just like a bar and people look at you like, "What the hell are you doing here?" And you're like, "Oh, hi." Like,
oh yeah, because the entire town has 2 bars,
and they know each other. Everybody knows everybody.
Oh yeah,
everybody knows each other. Shit, we know everybody in that town at this juncture.
We do now. We do know.
They know. They know when we come to town.
Oh yeah, they're like,
sure.
Shit, somebody go into town and stock up on Red Bull because these hoes are here.
They know when we come to town. We'll walk in the bar and the bartender's like, "We don't have enough Red Bull." And we're like, "Okay,
we're
that's
gonna
fine.
Take
we'll
a trip
calm
into
down on
town.
the
Figure it out.
This trip because
they're like, "We're gonna take a
45-minute
drive to where they sell Red Bull. We'll be back in 3 hours." Yeah. I think us 3 girls should go on a trip together.
Actually, yeah.
Because that's definitely me. I go into a small town. I know everybody there forever. I'm invited to bachelorette parties.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm just like, I don't know. I was there for a weekend.
Like, into it.
Love it.
So
I just like the party.
Rome has, in the early, it was the 20s actually, I think. There was it's a copper mining town, and there was, with mining, there's blasting, right? Well, I'm pretty late.
There was a little too much. It got a little too jazzy.
A little too jazzy with the dynamite, and there was an explosion at the mine that caused a whole big fucking rumble. Well, one of the streets in Jerome slid down the hill.
Okay.
Onto the other, down into the red light district.
Woof.
So yeah, some houses were destroyed, and that's where the jail sits today. And
I don't like that place.
In said jail,
I don't like it.
There is, well, like I said, Jerome is, like we said, I should say, Jerome is haunted literally from fucking one end of the town to the other. The jail specifically has a thing that lives in it.
It's a thing.
It's a thing.
Can I tell you what it is? Nope.
Please?
Don't know.
Oh, you don't know?
But the first time.
It's a creature?
It's not human.
It's a thing.
It's a thing.
It's a thing.
You know, so when you encounter
describe in every
spirits,
possible detail what this thing is.
Oh, yes. Gladly.
Yeah. So some spirits are human, right? Some spirits were people that were alive.
Right.
And then there's some spirits that aren't human, or maybe they were once upon a time, but they have not been human for a very, very, very long time.
Whoa.
Because not everybody reincarnates, and some people just sit there and they don't come back, and then they become
this bulbous flesh.
There are so many explanations.
It happens.
It could. This one, no. Yeah. So it was my first time in Jerome.
I love it.
And that night, we went down to the jail to like record. We had our camera, we had EVP recorders, and so we went, got right up in there, and it just suddenly got too quiet. And because it's outside in the middle of Arizona in the nighttime, so you figure you should hear at least some bugs, something. It was silent. It was very weird. And it was Danielle, myself, and our friend Isabella standing there. And Isabella's like, it smells like something is dead in here. It smells like something is dead. Like something died. It smells like something is dead. Yes. And then we're like, yeah, it's gross. I don't like it. And you just feel uncomfortable, like your skin is crawling. And you're like, I don't like it. Something is watching me. I can't see it, but there's something here. Danielle, I'm pointing at her. Nobody can see it because you're listening.
Sure.
She's like, I'm going to go over here where the cell is, because it's like a Mayberry jail cell. There's one room, and then an
cell.
office. So it was a tiny building. And it's completely cracked open because it slid down the hill. It's also 100+ years old.
Yes, I was going to go inside the cell, and the only way for me to do that was to hop the fence. It's totally legal. I was going to go
fallen
around
down at that point. Yeah. It was already that
begging for it
and go in the door. Right. I went around to the side of the building, no big deal, and it was literally like I hit a brick wall. Like I physically bounced off of something.
She just stops.
And I couldn't go any further.
All I could see was her top knot.
And cute.
She's like, nope, can't do it.
It wouldn't let me in.
And then I feel, because my friend Isabella's like standing on my left. She's a psychic medium. Amazing. I miss her, by the way. I want to go see her right now. But she's standing next to me. Yes, you come too. And all of a sudden, like when somebody grabs you by the shoulder really hard, not like they're trying to squeeze you, but they just are like a very strong vice-like grip.
Yes.
Like that. But I wasn't
yes.
I wasn't talking to you.
I was answering.
I was talking to Sarah. But like that, but on my throat.
On
like
your throat?
A very,
on your
very
throat?
strong on my throat.
You said on your throat? Like they were choking you?
Yeah, and
Yeah, no, she was literally
grabbed
choking.
me by the throat.
No.
And then I don't remember how it stopped.
It was Isabella.
That makes sense. And so then Danielle's already like up the stairs going away, and Isabella's like doing whatever magic she's doing to get
it off.
Magic like with a K.
And as we're walking, magic stank off. And as we're walking up the stairs together, I can hear. Yeah, it was I don't like it. I don't recommend it. We were walking up the stairs, and it has like a metal handrail, and it sounded like somebody had like a metal ring on and was placing their hand. So it was like ting, 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 like somebody was walking up the steps behind us. Nobody there. And so we get to the top of the stairs. There's not that many. I get to the top, and I look back at the jail, and it's like an old animation cell. So it's like I can see it as it is in the real world. And then it looks like I can also see something that is elsewhere, but in the jail cell. So I'm like, ugh! And it was the grossest,
it's like the Blob
thing. And it was just,
that's what I picture as like the Blob.
Bob?
The Blob.
Like Twin Peaks?
No. The Thing.
The Blob.
Oh, the Blob.
What is it called? The Blob.
The Thing. Okay.
It
Blob? Was.
Is it not? The Thing. You remember The Thing from the 80s?
The movie?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Amazing.
I'm actually pretty sure there's also a thing called The Blob. But is it not? Am I making that up?
There is a movie called The Blob. You are correct.
But there's also The Thing.
No, it's a thing.
It's The Thing.
There is also The Thing, yes. Yes.
I think there might be both.
But
I think that the thing is what I'm thinking of is like the flesh, like the amygdala. I can't think of words, but it's like when flesh comes together into like a thing. That's what the thing is. It's just like flesh and an eyeball and shit. Is that what it was?
Oh yeah, no. It looked sort of like someone that had drowned. So
like a person that drowned, like bloated.
They looked wet, and I don't know why. Yes, but like a really pale blue, and it like their hair was black and matted to their head, but they weren't like they looked sort of like a human, but it also looked like something that had seen a person and then tried to recreate what a person looked like.
If that makes sense.
Like it looked like a person until it stopped looking like a person.
Yes. Okay, let's ask some questions here.
Why?
Yeah, let's get some questions going. That's all we have. Why don't you want us here? All we want to do is get questions answered. We're here to be friendly.
Is anybody here with us right now?
Quiet, didn't it?
Are you the one that made our cameras die? Yep.
Fuck! Yep. Oh my god!
Why don't you want us to film you?
It's an abomination.
I just heard that.
I heard it's an abomination.
What does that mean?
What does that mean?
An abomination?
What does that mean?
It's something bad. We have to get out of here.
We gotta go.
What does that
It's
mean?
bad. They have a bad.
Okay.
Now.
All right. What does that mean?
EVP session now.
Thanks so much for your call, ladies. Don't forget to check out Danielle and Z on their own paranormal podcast, Ghosts and Hoes. That's spelled ghosts and HEAUXS. Do you have a ghost story that you want to share on Laughing in the Dark? Write to us and let us know. Send in your story to litdarkpodcast@gmail.com. We may want to feature you on the show. As always, thank you so much for listening.